Hi, my name's Jo Wallace. I am the owner of JW Pet Services and I also own the salon Tales of Long Sutton. Today I'm going to be doing a pet trim on a spaniel. This is Milo. So we're going to be putting him in a show style type of groom, but very much practical and pet styling, just for your everyday salon and dog grooming that you would do for a customer. So we'll go through chunks of it at a time. If you need to contact me about the course or about the any questions or so on, you can email me on jowallace07@outlook.com, or you can call me or WhatsApp me on 077 1255 9275. So I hope you enjoy the video and the seminar. I'll try to cover as much as I can and as thoroughly as I can as I go through. But again, if you've got questions, you can always message me and I'm happy to help any of my students. Okay, thank you. Okay, so we're coming back with feet and the feather line. So the feather line, if you're looking on this angle, so if you look on the horizon, you'll see a bit more of the line that comes down here, and you can just see the little edges. And when you come down those edges, it just makes for a straighter line. So it's just to show you, finishing off that feather at the front, just making sure it's sort of flush to the bone. With the feet, if you use a slicker brush and pull the hair up through the toes, yes, I know this isn't going to be your favourite. Alright, pull the hair up through the toes and come over the top with your thinners. If you have very thick hair on a spaniel, sometimes they have those big woolly legs and really thick feet. You can either take some bulk out with a comb attachment or a clipper, or you can take some out with your straights first. Just make sure you've got a really robust pair of straights that you don't mind using on feet, because the hair on the feet is much tougher than anywhere else, especially on a spaniel. So we're going to take off in the direction of it growing. If you cut across, you'll get a line. So come down all the way round on the foot first. Come on, you. So normally I'd be using little foot scissors for this, but I haven't got those to hand, so I'm going to use my fancy scissors. And again, brush up. You might have to do this 3 or 4 times to get a nice clean finish. And then I'm just going to, I told you it makes funny noises. Then I'm just going to go over the foot on a downward angle, just to tidy those little feathery bits up, and then just come around the bottom of the foot. A lot of people struggle with spaniel feet. Hey, Milo. Notice how I'm holding him at the neck strap, just so I've got a bit of control. Just going to come around the bottom of the foot. Yeah, so a lot of people do struggle with spaniel feet, and I really like doing them. Again, lifting the pad lifting over his foot, but there's nothing more satisfying than a nice clean spaniel foot. So you could shave the feet on a 7 if they want a clean look. You could, like I say, if they've got a really thick woolly coat, more like a cockapoo, you could do a 10mm comb attachment over the top and then just put a little foot in, like a cockapoo. Yawnies. Or you can scissor them like I'm doing. I'm also going to clip out his pad. So you can clip pads out on a 10 or a 15 blade. I do quite like a 15 blade just because it clears the pad nicely. Just want to come into that a little bit more. So just clear, and a little bit over the top. Yeah, I know, baby. And then also, excuse me, you could come up between the toes. Now, if you're going to do this, just make sure that your scissors, are pointing away from the pad, always away, or use bullnose scissors if you're not confident. But you're coming up through the toes and completely away. So there's no way you can, he's not really letting me do it, but there's no way you can cut the foot there if you do it correctly. Just those minor little details now around the foot, just getting those last little edges. Again, like I say, you could do this with a 7, but I wanted to show you the technique with a scissor. Just those last little bits around the end. Not letting me do that. So I'll come back to it because they move about and the hairs stick out, but generally you get the idea from the shape of the foot. He's got quite a nice coat to deal with as well. So that's a spaniel foot. We'll come back to do the other ones. Okay, so we've finished the skirt, or have done for now. I'm just going to leave that and come on with some other bits and bobs, and then I'll just tidy at the end. So the other area we're going to look at is the shoulder area and the front leg. So you want to make sure that you're taking off all of this front fuzzy leg, and so it looks flush to the bone with the feather. So I don't tend to like the look where it gets shaved or it comes into the bone and then it's got a little feather. It needs to look like it's one thing and it's blended. So we're going to start at the top of the shoulder, deal with this little bit here, as we said before, just thin it down a little bit. I'm going to come into the front of the leg here, just use my comb to lift up slightly. And I'm just going to come down the front of that leg. So we want to make sure that this little bit here at the front is off, so you can see the shoulder area, and we want to get rid of all this fuzzy stuff down the front as well. So I am using the finer scissor for this area as well. I'm sorry if there's background noise, but we have got a salon on the road in a little town. Sometimes you can pull the hair over the comb. It helps to get those finer edges. So if you cut down or up, you'll get a line. So you have to cut with the hair growth, and you want to make sure it's flush to that bone, a little bit like the skirt. So coming down that bone and just taking that hair off. Come in, mate. So just bring him in a little bit more to show you that. I've just got an extra fine. They're not the best scissors in the world, to be honest. I probably ruined them at some point. But for tiny little hairs, they're really good. Right, so we're getting there. We're getting our shape. If you keep the scissors on the bone, again, you're moving your direction slowly, fast, and your thumb fast. And then so that's probably about as far as I want to go on the feather. Pull the feather out from the other side, so it's got a little knot in there. So you shouldn't be able to tell if I clip out that knot behind the feather because it's so thick, that hair, and it's not going to do much to the shape if I take something out on this side. So let me just see if there is a knot first. If you lift up the hair and pull it through, there it is. I should just be able to scissor that out. You're going to start making the noises. So, this feather, you can lift up the foot and cut it at this angle, making sure the top is thicker than the bottom, or you can do it on the floor. Get on. Whatever works for you, really. So I'm just going to grab some straights to come down the back of this leg. I'm coming down the back here and then up down the front. I'm pushing the hair around so you can see and I can see what I'm doing. So you want the feather to come down into the foot. It's looking quite nice. And then we're just going to blend off some of this bulk just a little bit. You want it to look nice and soft and natural. If sometimes you get very thick, feathers, and if they are, then take it off from the inside. So you can come down this way with your scissors, or you can come in this way, and that will just give the appearance of a thinner feather and the feel of a thinner feather, but the appearance will still look on the outside. It's just a bit of a trick. It will still look like he's got a nice feather. So I'm coming down the inside of the leg now, slightly diagonal because that's the way the hair grows, just to take out a bit of hair on the inside. Here. Just to tidy that up a little bit down there. Okay, so our feather's looking really nice and our shoulder is popping out. And again, I will just tidy up as part of my finishing process all the way over. Just get those edges out on the side. What I'll do in a minute is I'll do a little close up so you can see the edge of the feather. So that should be completely flush on a straight, as is this. Okay. It's quite good that he's turned that way because you can just see a little bit on the inside there. Just needs a little tinker. Little tinker and a tidy. Okay, we're going to do feet next, and I'm going to do that on a close-up. Okay, so we're going to look at Milo's ears. So I've done a bit more work on him just to keep it moving, and we're going to do his top knot on his face. So first of all, this is a rake. It doesn't hurt the dog. I use these on cats as well. I always say you're not brushing the skin, you're brushing the hair, so you don't really like that, do you? Do you want a little sniff? Cool. So on the ear, more often than not, spaniels will have dead coat in their ears, and this is a great tool to de-shed and take it out. You could use a Furminator as well. You really like that, don't you? Oh, sorry. He just wants to sniff it. So we're brushing through just to give them that nice, clean finish. I'll brush that one again in a minute. move that out of the way. Right, so we are doing our ears. I'm just going to put the 7 blade back on. Again, it's a pet trim, so I don't want to go too severe. Annie is keeping his top knot. So I'm just going to shave and tidy the top of the ear. I'm going to push that out with my fingers out the back. So I'm using my hand as a guide. Now the thing that people tend to cut is this front flap here, and there's another little flap on the inside of the ear. It's like a little bit's cut out of it, it's around this area. So when you're shaving ears or cutting ears, you always go out and stretch it out. Use your hand as a guide. I'm just going to take off that tiny little bit on the inside. Move the top knot out of the way and just get, so I'm pulling that bit of skin out so I can get in there. That just makes it look a bit smoother and softer. He's got a lovely long ear, so you check where the ear leather is, it's there. So I know I've got plenty of room to give him a nice shaped ear. Yeah, a little sit down. We've been on the go, haven't we? I want a nice curve on the end of that ear. So you could do that with curves or with straights, whatever works for you. I'm also going to thin them a little bit. So I'm going to put my scissors through the coat. I'm not going to cut it, but I'm just going to thin. And this just leaves a really nice finish, a settled finish. The ear just hangs down a bit, plus that it's less likely to get knotted. You can see the difference in that ear now, it's nice and flat and shaped. Let's move some of these things out of the way. And it's just sitting nicer. I think you've had enough of it, mate, haven't you? Just going to do a little bit more out the front. I guess this is probably a little bit similar to when we have layers in our hair. Also on the inside, I'm coming flush to the ear line and just coming through that bottom bit of the line ear there, just to again thin it out so it doesn't get matted, but it also sits beautifully. It's nice and shiny. So as he's sitting down, I can't check his ear shape to the other shape, but I'll let him sit down for a minute and then I'll have a look at it. And then... So the top knot, some of them have very thick top knots. This one's quite fine. You can style them in a little similar way to poodle. How I tend to do them is pull it all forward. It's just like getting a parson's hair. Naturally, I will get my curves for this. You could just thin it over, but for me, I quite like to take some length off it first, and then I'm going to thin over the back. Just soften it a little. His is quite floppy. You can do it with a comb over style, so pulling the hair over the comb. This is how I normally scissor him all over. You want it to blend into the back. Just like any dog's hair. Always make sure you blend that back line, because otherwise it does look like you've got a head and a body, and it's not a good look. So we've kind of thinned through that a little bit. Just gonna take a little bit more off the top. I think we're looking pretty slick there. But I do really need to check that ear shape. So, matey, I'm going to have to get you up. I'm sorry. But we're nearly done, and then you can go home. Have a rest. Okay, so let's get him in his ear strap. Is there one there? That's good. I know. So I'm going to come that side so I can come around the ears and get that shape right. Make sure your ears are level. Customers always notice that. So I'm coming in from the front. Just going to make it a little bit more curved. So you can see the difference in the ear. That one's nice and flat and straight, and this one is still bulky and potential to mat, and he does get a lot of mats in his ears. So I think I'll move him around that side so you can see the other ear and this side of the face. So if you want to come the other side, Sadie. Got Sadie here with me today. She works with me. She's my camera person. Do you want to come this side, or can you get it here? Yeah. Is that all right? Yeah. Cool. So same deal. Let's get our 7. I just think ears and tails are the most important part of the dog. I'm sure a lot of people would disagree with me, but just clearing all of that on the inside, lifting that ear up, just coming around the back bit as well. So you see these little whiskers on the face here? That makes him look really old. He's not an old dog, he's probably 5. What you want is your customers to say, oh, he looks like a puppy again. So you want to make him look younger. So with a 10 blade, I'm just going to take that fluff off. And then he's got a little bit, come here old mate. You're nearly done, you're nearly done. Wait, wait, wait. Mate. Just a little bit there and a little bit on his chin. I'm not pressing too hard, but just enough to clear that area. If you're working on this little bit here, make sure you always stretch it out. You can catch this flappy area here with your clippers. I'm pressing really lightly there. It's the finer things that, the finer detail and touches that the customers notice. Again, I'm just going to thin out that ear. They will say, oh, there's a bit left on his tail, or this ear's longer than that ear, or you've left a bit sticking out on his face. So like I said earlier on, always do leave 20 minutes at the end of your groom, even if it's a case of telling the customer you're going to be late, just to make sure that you deal with everything you need to deal with. Oh, your hair's getting up my nose. Would you believe I'm allergic to spaniels and I've got one of my own? Well, I've got a Cavalier. I'm not an Aldernatural Spaniel. But my husband said I can have as many cats as I like, so I've got 6. You never know, one day I might get a show spaniel. Right, so just still playing with those ears, thinning them a little bit. Just thinning down this line. I'm flush against the leather, so I'm not going to cut it. Sorry. Right, let's check them. Still a little bit. I like a nice curve on a spaniel. You are a gorgeous boy, aren't you, Annie? Possibly a little bit more thinning. So you're always checking. Looking at different angles. Just want them to sit just a little bit flatter. When you've got your length, you can always go around with some thinners just to soften that straight line, take a little bit more off on the inside. So you've got a nice, clean, fresh side. And then we just want to make sure we've got no little bits. So just be careful scissoring around this area. Stretch the skin. If you don't feel confident, don't do it. Use your clippers. This little bit here I'm just going to get with my 10 just to make it really smooth and clean. There's a little bit behind that ear there that I'll get with a 7. What do you think, Sadie? Are they looking even, or is one longer than the other from your direction? I think this one's slightly longer. What do you reckon?
Yeah, you probably need a bit more on the off the right one.
This one, yeah. Like that. I'm with you there. Yeah. Just check the ear leather. It's all about tinkering. Just finer little bits. Right, we'll let them settle and we'll come back to you. Let's just settle that little bit in there. You can fill it. Right. So now we're going to do our finish work. We're going to go head to toe and check him all over. Really important, just to make sure you haven't missed any little bits. So I'll start from my head. This way, Babs. Checking over on the inside. Marlo, it's nearly time to go home. This is when you notice all your tiny small bits. So you might want to get some detail scissors for this, because you're not really taking length off or bulk. You are doing your finer detail. Checking his neck down the front here. Any little bits that you see that are sticking out that look uneven. Oh, you're really making me nose go all baked. These are real detail scissor. Hello, baby. You've been such a good boy for me today. Can't really ask for more. Looking from different directions. Seeing what you can see. You're going to have to move your body around the dog. Just down on the inside of the leg, just smoothing it out, checking it over. Making sure all your little bits are blended. checking feet. Once they've settled, they can start to become a little bit messy again. And also, if you've been concentrating on one area, going back to another area, and then going back to it, you tend to see the extra little bits. So these little bits here, you could clip them backwards with a 7 or just tidy them. I have cut his nails, but they've got quite a long quick, so just those little finer. I mean, I am being a bit fussy here for a pet dog, but I want to show you when you do going over the foot at the end, that you can use these to kind of lift up the hair in between the toes a little bit. You're just smoothing stuff over, really. Alright, mate. Checking over the skirt. So this curved bit here, again you're pulling this forward, pulling the skirt down, and then you want that nice curve. So from, he has got a bit of a gap there from a little map. Let's see if we can blend that in. I've got his willy in my hand, delightful, but good technique for you to know where everything is. Especially if you're getting a bit tired, don't take any risks. Let's just check that through from his chest and underneath. We're nearly done. Just want to blend that in a little bit, so I had a little mat in there. See, if I thought I was done then, I wouldn't have noticed all these extra little bits. So it is important to give yourself that time at the end. Especially when they've been in a belly strap, you can often forget this area. Oh dear. Yeah, we do need to do a little work there. I'll just check this side. Again, I like to work with the dog, so if he wants to sit down, I'll let him sit down. Again, just checking over, making sure there's no little bits that can get greasy under here. So with this ear here, make sure if you're trimming around that area that you've got your whole ear in your hand, so there's no way you can cut it. You can just see a little bit of hair there. You might even come out with a furminator. Just want to get that silkiness. You can see where I've been on this leg already and set that tuck up area in. So I think this side's looking pretty good. That's quite a nice length there. Just a small bit here. It's a bit finer, thinner. Blender. Blending is my favourite thing to do. Okay, so I just want to look at this back leg area here, and then we've got the tail to do. So we're just going to sort that tuck up area out a little bit more, just to blend it all together. Probably a little bit heavier here, so again blending it out. You just want everything to sort of blend into one, really. You don't want to have any bits. The other thing you can do with the skirt is to check it from the top. So So just making sure that your blend lines are the same on each side, which I think mine are. And then this back area, checking through this and making sure there's no scraggly bits here. And making sure the back legs are the same length. So I'm just gonna match those just a tiny bit more. You've got to have an eye for length. You need to be able to see what's looking too long. You need to be able to match it, either side. End of the day. Just have a little bit more of a look on your bum. I know, but it's looking really nice, baby. Doesn't look like I'm hardly taking anything off, but I'm just taking a tiny bit off just to match it all in. We did have a little knot here, so which I scissored out. I don't want to risk scissoring that bit, so I'm just going to take a little bit off there either side, just skimming over it. Right, tail. So, flag tails. Milo, once we've done your tail, you can have a sit down. Tail's really important. It's how the dog greets us. Just make sure it's nice and smooth. I knew you were going to sit down. Hope you get gloves. That's it. You've been so good. Last little bit. So your tail, you want to dry the tail how you want to trim it. So you're going to dry it almost like a centre parting, so it falls either side of the tail. If you've dried it nicely, you'll be able to cut it well. If it's not been dried properly, and it will be all pinky. With straights or curves, you want to come from the top and then just cut to a nice length. Again, thicker at the top towards the base of the tail. Just tidy that up under the bum. Twist it around your finger. You don't have to do that, you can just cut it straight. Comb it down again. Let's just check we haven't got any little bits sticking out, so give it a little shake and then just come down again and take all the little minor edges off. I do love a nice flag tail. Okay, so we're going to take a little break there and I'll come back and show you the finished product. So hope you enjoyed that little seminar on spaniel trimming. Please do message me for any information. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I've certainly enjoyed grooming Milo today. So we gave him a little finish off all over, so he's nice and sleek and blended which is just perfect for a spaniel. Okay, thanks for watching.